All right, welcome back, everybody. Part two, two episodes on a Tuesday night. We don't have Daniel, but we do have plenty of guests because there's just so much baseball to talk about. We just did the local high school scene, but it's time to hit the national scene. And you know what? Right now, the Georgia Bulldogs are hot. I will own right here. I'm going to apologize before I introduce our guest. I said I don't know that this lineup can protect Charlie Condon when this season started. And here we are. Georgia is absolutely thriving. That lineup from top to bottom being hit. He's part of it. With that being said, Kolby Branch, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, man? It's good to have on.
Absolutely. Blessed to always talk college baseball, but love to talk to somebody who's not just a good dude, but a part of a team that's having a lot of success. But before we get into all things Georgia, before we get into your story, we got to break the ice, and we always do it the easiest way. Let's talk music. If you could go see any musician anywhere, who are you going to see? Where are you going to see them?
Well, first off, start with I'd probably go to Red Rocks. Me and my mom set a goal that by the end of at least college or soon enough we'd go to Red Rocks together. Um, and then I think that any country artist that would go to Red Rocks would sound good. It could be really anybody. But I mean, if George Strait ever, if he ever went back to Red Rocks or performed there, that'd be pretty cool. You know, considering we're
Yeah,
from
no,
Texas and everything. So
I'm impressed that you know Red Rocks, and I say that not because it shouldn't be all that impressive, but it's amazing how many times we have guests on here who haven't heard of it when me and Daniel talk about it. So the fact that you know it, and then George Strait, I've gotten to see him numerous times growing up. Went to many music festivals when I was a teenager with my parents, and he never put on a bad show. So I think you got it. I think you got the artist. I think you got the venue. I think that's a show. So if George goes to Red Rocks, Georgia, find a way, get my man tickets. But
yeah.
let's talk sports for a second. If you could go see any sports team or athlete, I don't know if you're a bigger fan of a specific athlete or a team, but you can go see either or, and you can go see them anywhere. Who are you going to see? Where are you going to see them?
Um, I'll be honest, I don't watch much professional. I don't watch the MLB too much. I don't watch the NBA. I watch the NFL on occasion, but I'm more uh, college football, and that's most of the sport that I keep up with the most. And I'm a fanboy over it. And I grew up an OU fan, so anytime watching Kyler or Baker or Jalen Hurts, those were my guys growing up, and I used to think they were the coolest things ever. And
So how
so
excited are you that they're coming to the SEC? So as a guy who's in the SEC now, the team that you've watched, is coming, just how much excitement is there because you're going to get to see them on a regular basis now within conference.
yeah, it's pretty cool that them in Texas get to be brought over, and good for them. And I think the SEC, after seeing the Big 12 and seeing the SEC, it's a big difference. And not only the schools but the atmospheres around it. And so it's a good thing for OU and a good thing for Texas. So I'm happy to have them.
Yeah, so you're in a good situation because OU is a good team to root for in general. If you root for your actual team that you're with, Georgia obviously won two championships recently. They're not fixing to go anywhere. So nothing wrong with rooting for multiple teams, especially when you go to school one, you grew up rooting for the other. So you're in a pretty good position here going into the next season. Two teams to root for that are going to be in the mix in the SEC playing high caliber. So not nice position to be in, but let's get into your story. For those who don't know, Colby, where are you from?
I'm from right outside of Dallas, Texas.
So outside of Dallas, Texas, and you say, you're not a big, pro sports fan. That's interesting just because, and I like it because usually somebody says they're from Dallas. I got to do one of two things. It's usually the Cowboys, but then also the Mavericks. So how do you bypass being some diehard, Cowboys Mavericks fan?
Yeah, well, you don't really bypass it. I kind of take that back. I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, but I
Oh,
just I just don't watch other football. Like I don't keep up with how the Browns are doing just because they're the Browns. I watch the Cowboys and that's about it. But I'm a big Cowboys fan.
Oh, we could have done that. Now we got to cut the episode. Now, main host Daniel, he's a Cowboys fan, so he would have jumped all over that. But being from Dallas, I've been there numerous times. I was just there recently in the Dallas Fort Worth area. If you were to tell somebody, you're talking about big city, a lot of options, but if you being from there said this is the one thing you need to go do, what would you tell people to go do?
In Dallas, I mean, I haven't been downtown Dallas honestly that much. I've been probably more to downtown Atlanta, being only here 1 year, and growing up, kind of moving around playing travel ball. But I haven't been to downtown Dallas enough. But AT&T Stadium and going to Globe Life, if you're a sports fan, those are two things that are awesome to do. And now there's like even a what's it called, like the video game arena in Dallas now, and there's a old Globe Life field,
Mhm.
old Texas Ranger Stadium. So it's all kind of in one area, and that's kind of a cool spot to go see. And anytime you can catch a game.
Yeah, so we've been down there. We were down there for the gymnastics national championship, and then we've been there the last 2 years for the Globe Life Showdown, both times to watch Arkansas and our Arkansas guest. And yeah, Globe Life is amazing. And then for anybody who goes to the Dallas area, my son's big into science and baseball. The science museums are where it's at. He, like you said, AT&T Stadium. And then I learned something when I was there last time, Colby. The first time I went, I saw the old one and I didn't understand why there was a new stadium built right across the street when the old stadium looked perfectly fine. And then between the 2 years, I saw a documentary, and for those who don't know, the outdoor stadium for Texas, it gets so hot in the outfield that they couldn't continue to do it because it was so miserable. Fans could not take the heat in the summer, and they found out that it almost was the same cost to build a new stadium than it would be to put a retractable roof. So that's why there's two nice stadiums right across it. But it makes sense now because I thought, well, what are we doing here? It's just wasting money. But if fans are sitting out there in 120 heat, melting watching baseball, that ain't gonna work either.
Yeah, I mean, if you go and watch a game in Texas or anything like that, you'll quickly understand that it gets pretty hot out there, even when you're not playing the game. You're just sitting out there and just baking. So, and they use that stadium now for, I think, XFL or like the new football league that's not the NFL. And then they'll do high school football games, and so they still use it a good amount. They haven't torn it down or anything. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool
Yeah,
place.
no doubt. So, growing up from there, let's talk family dynamics. You got mom, dad, you got brothers, sisters. What's the house looking like growing up?
Parents still together, happily married for however long. And I got three younger brothers, and so they're all playing baseball except for the youngest. He wants to be an actor, so he's kind of he's the one that's just a cool kid. He'll play every sport. Um, the one right behind me, he's a senior in high school right now. He's going to OU to play, and so he got the OU offer in high school, and that was cool for him to get that. And I'm so proud of him, and he's doing good, and he's going to kill it. So I'm excited to see that. And the third one, he he's a freshman in high school. He's killing it. He keeps growing every single time I see him. But he might be the best one of the bunch. So who knows?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Growing up being the oldest brother, you know, was it one of those things that you took on the opportunity? Because not all guys come on here and admit that they do, but some do. Did you take the opportunity to be able to pour in them, the things that you've learned, especially because you talk about, the two being baseball players. Did you help them coming up to be better baseball players, as well as just, better overall individuals from things that you learned growing up?
Yeah, of course. I mean, growing up, I'm playing every weekend, and every week it seems like, and so every time I get to do something like that, I mean, I got the one closest to me. I was a junior, and he was a freshman in high school, and we were playing on the same varsity team. So I got 2 years with him in high school, and so I got to play with him, and he's quick witted just like me, and He can understand the game pretty easy. So I never had to help him a ton, but he was definitely, we learned each other and we learned how to play together, and that was kind of fun to, make outs together. And I was telling a funny story. We played A&M and the other week, and Ryan Prager, their Friday guy, he's from Dallas Hillcrest, and they played one game playoffs so that Ryan could basically just shove and then move on to the next round. And so we got him in the second or third round or something like that. And my brother hit a leadoff double against him after, Ryan just shoved for 6 innings or so. And so it was 0-0, and Kyle hits a double, and then I hit a double right after that, and then we go another double, and we barely win, 2-0. But after the game, I saw Ryan, and he remembered us, and he was like, "Hey man, it's good to see you," and we shook hands or whatever. So that was good to see that. But yeah, with the brothers thing, it's a lot, and being away from it's tough. But I trust that Kyle's got a handle.
Yeah, no doubt. And I brought it up because a lot of times when we have younger siblings on here, they talk about the biggest inspiration or who molded them to be the athlete they are. It's always the older sibling. They talk about just how much, whether it's they intentionally push them or they just strive to be like them, right? Like they wanted to be like their older brother or sister. They worked hard to compete. And so I think, with you being the older brother of four, it's a role that you have to embrace, like whether you want to or not. You got three younger guys looking up to you. And so it's up to you to set the standard. So it's pretty cool to hear you're saying they're all succeeding. It sounds like, hearing you talk about it, you're their biggest fan. So real cool what you got going on with your family. So moving on from there, you being their influence, let's talk about your influence. Growing up, getting into the game of baseball, was it, one of your parents? Was it a coach? Was it, somebody you watched around the area? Who was your biggest influence when it came to the game of baseball?
I kind of just took a liking to it when I was younger, and somehow I got introduced to a travel ball team when I was younger, and they traveled to a different state for the first time, and it was coach pitch, and we were like, we didn't understand that was even a thing. And so ever since then, I thought that was kind of cool, and I never stopped playing. I guess the guy that kept me going was my dad, but he was never a baseball player. I guess he played tennis in college, and but he supported me in anything I wanted to do, and he helped me out a ton with that, and I gave him a lot of praise for it.
Yeah, no doubt. So, getting into high school ball, a lot of guys, baseball's not their only sport. Is baseball the only sport that you're playing when you're coming up to middle school and high school, or are you playing multiple sports?
I know that in middle school, and then uh, I stopped in high school, but I played a little bit of basketball and football in middle school, and that was fun, just playing another sport. But I never continued that into high school, so I wasn't really any good at it. But I could compete out there. I was on the A and B team, B team for basketball and then A team for football. So that was kind of fun to you know play when I could, and slowly realized that I wasn't going to be a high school football player.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, one of the things I've learned is Texas does have some high quality baseball in high school. A lot of people talk about football and Friday night lights as they should, but I've been told by numerous guests that we've had from Texas that there's really good talent in baseball too. So, just talk about the high school baseball scene. Talk about, first tell us where you went to school and just, talk about your experience there, playing in the Dallas area, playing high school.
Yeah, I went to Lovejoy High School. It's right next to Allen High School, which had Kyler Murray and a ton of more guys that went
Never
there.
heard
And
of them.
you really, that's
No, I'm
crazy.
messing with you.
Yeah. They built that big stadium, and so they were kind of the first to do that.
My
But
favorite part about watching Kyler Murray, and it's got to be your part as a baseball player, the throws he's making, and I love when they put the baseball clips side by side with his football. Those throws that he's making that are unorthodox, it's because he's making the same play as if he was an infielder. He's throwing at the angle. that, and you see him and Mahomes and Russell Wilson, guys who were really good at baseball, those throws they're making, it's because they were baseball players, and it translates over. They're also good at sliding, which is no coincidence. So when you watch Kyler Murray, I love when they put those clips side by side. That's why he's able to make those throws.
Yeah, I remember going to some baseball games of his, and you know him as a football player, and then you kind of realize, oh Lord, he's good at baseball. It might even be better, But I remember I never missed a high school football game with Kyler playing for Allen because I used to go to Allen growing up in elementary school, and then we moved to Lovejoy. Um, but Kyler was he was awesome to watch growing up, and he was kind of a role model to look at and watch him, Spider-Man around the field. Looking back, it's kind of funny to look at. But but yeah, Texas high school baseball. I mean, we went to the playoffs all 4 years except for the COVID year that we got cut short. But it was definitely a grind. Every time I don't think we ever got past the third round. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I mean, it was always you're facing a 90-mile-an-hour arm, and in high school that's kind of a big deal. The people that aren't going to college to play baseball. It's every playoff guy is pretty much in that area, and then you're going up there and you're trying to compete and win a ball game.
Yeah, but I mean, you had success obviously in an all-state honoree. You were also, academic, which means something to us when you're getting it done in both. But district MVP and area hitter of the year. You have 472 with 8 home runs, 43 RBIs, and 28 stolen bases. As a senior, 355, 2 home runs, 22 RBIs, and 9 stolen bases. Junior, voted 2021 Defensive Player of the Year by your teammates. Going all the way back to 2019, you were the newcomer of the year. So start to finish, and like I said, not just on the field, but academically. So clearly, you were about your business in high school, taking care of what you needed to on and off the field. So, when it comes to the college aspect, at what point did you realize, hey, like this is something I want to do on the next level?
I'd say it was when I was younger, at about 14 or 15, and I had somebody set me down, and he was like, where do you want to go play college baseball? And I was like, well, pump the brakes a little bit. College baseball. I'm talking about, maybe going to a lower level. Like I'm not going to play a Power Five. It's not where do you want to play. It's kind of where can I play. Um, and then I kind of changed that mindset, and people started believing in me, and I was like, all right, I could really do that. And at the time, I was pretty much, at 14, I was the smallest kid on the team, and I hadn't matured yet, and so I was getting ready to be done. I was like, I mean, I'm the smallest guy out here. I'm not even playing because I'm not worth anything for this team. And then I moved to a different organization, and then they took care of me. I stayed back a grade. That's why I'm 21 right now. So ever since then, I kind of just blossomed and moved on, and kind of became a dream of mine to keep it going as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you end up going to Baylor. Was it as simple as, being a kid that is from Texas, Baylor comes calling and that's one you want to do, or were there multiple options and it was a real difficult choice when it came to, who you chose?
Yeah, it was I didn't have a ton. I wasn't, it wasn't crazy, but I had Baylor and then a couple more Big 12s, but I don't know, something felt right about Baylor, and then like I didn't have the OU or the Oklahoma State that I was kind of wanting out of high school, because that was kind of my dream spot. Um, so Baylor had a good situation, and I felt like I could go in there and play right away, and that's what happened.
Yeah, so you go there, you get a TAB freshman All-American by collegiate baseball, and capture the team's triple crown. I understand the team was, 20 and 35, not ideal, and it's a team game, but individually you have to be proud of the fact that you were able to, you had 69 hits, 49 runs, 17 doubles. One shot of the freshman record, started all 55 games at shortstop. Anybody who follows baseball know that's the premier position, especially when you got a 967 fielding percentage. In that year, the biggest thing when it comes to freshman year, when we talk to guys, no matter where they play, it's all about what you're able to take in because that growth from freshman to sophomore year is always the biggest. And so it's about what you're able to take in and learn that freshman year. So, you're at Baylor, you're obviously getting to start out the gate, you're playing shortstop, you're obviously thriving. But what were you able to learn and take away aside from just, overall experience?
Yeah, I'd say the learning part of it would be going treating every day like the same day, and have the same routine whenever things are going good as the same routine as when things are going bad. It kind of keeps you with a level head, and then I'd say just the routine of it, learning how to play 55 games in a regular season. uh, we didn't make any postseason or anything, but learning how to play those games, and then going to summer ball, you kind of learn how to play every day, once you get up there. So just learning how to manage your time, and I'd say time management's the biggest deal, to be honest with you, because you got classes, and then you got practice, and then you got to do study hall for an hour, or tutoring, and then you got an exam in the morning, and you got to manage all that. And once you learn how to do that, it's fun to play the game, play the game of life with it, because then you're kind of living everybody's dream. So whenever you're doing that, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mentioned the team's success or lack of success, I'll say. So obviously you hit the portal. When it comes to, the options and who are you listening to, you mentioned dream schools earlier, talking about certain Big 12 teams. Was and the SEC something that you were looking and striving for, or how does it come about Georgia? What's your thought process as you're picking where you want to go? Because I imagine with how you succeeded, Georgia's clearly not the only caller. Like, I don't have to be in the room to know that you had numerous people call, and so there had to be something about Georgia to be the school you went to.
Yeah, there was other people calling, and they were interesting, and I had to weigh it out. I wanted to come to the SEC, and I wanted to play, a place that was going to win. And when you look at Charlie and what he did last year, and the team that's coming back, and the the change at head coach.
Yeah, was Wes
We kind of
Johnson already there when you're making this change?
Yeah, he was, it was right in the middle of kind of his change, but he was already there, and so he was getting things settled, and but it was a wild kind of deal. But uh but the people that were coming in, and the ballpark that we play in is amazing. You play in the SEC, and when you talk to them on the phone, it's like, you know here's what's going to happen. We're not just going to sit around and wait a year. We're going to go in the portal. We're going to get people like yourself, and that's what they did. And this team's kind of showing it right now, and I'm glad I made the decision I did.
Yeah, and obviously as an LSU guy, I'm very familiar with Johnson. I knew he could go there and do good things, but I said at the start of this episode, and I'll own it for a second time. I had Charlie picked as the SEC Player of the Year. That's not a hard pick to do, but I said I was worried because I didn't know that the lineup would be able to protect him. You look at Collins at the front spot with the top OBP. As somebody who lives in Mississippi, I go to Mississippi State a lot. They were absolutely upset that Slade Alford left. Clearly looking at how he's thriving, looks good that he made the choice he made. You look at you with 15 home runs, 49 RBIs. Obviously, your batting average is just slightly under 300. You'd like to fix that, but nonetheless, like, you're doing your thing, top to bottom. They're not able to just avoid Charlie. They have to face Charlie because your lineup, top to bottom, 1 through 9, can hit. So great choice for you to move in. And then, oh, by the way, like I said from the top, you're a defensive specialist at shortstop. So, just talk about this year so far. You talked about it being the right choice, but right now you are clicking on all cylinders. Just how much fun is it being a part of this Georgia team right now?
Yeah, and it's honestly why I got in the portal, and I want to go win, and be a part of a winning team. And and go thrive in that environment in the SEC. And so when you're in that environment, we're going on the road, we're staying at home, we're winning both places. We go to A&M, we take one there, which is very important. Then you take 3 from Vanderbilt this weekend. That was a big deal for us, and all those things that kind of just add up. And I think we're sitting at what, 13-11.
Yeah, and that was the thing, that was right where I was going to go because I got invited to go to Founders this weekend, about I don't know 6 weeks ago. And my buddy was like, "Hey, you said you've never been to Founders. You want to go? We'll go to the Georgia series. You can go see your boy Charlie." And I was like, "Cool." Well, never did I think 6 weeks ago you were going to have y'all in South Carolina tied at 13-11 in the division, sitting in the third spot. Both teams talking about hosting a regional right now. The winner of this series is in the driver's seat to host a regional. So this is a massive series. And so when I committed to it, I knew I was going to see talent. I knew I was going to see a ballpark I've never been to before. But now you got two teams that are playing outstanding ball. So it couldn't have lined up better. So, y'all come off the sweep of Vandy, like you say. So you're coming into South Carolina, I don't know if you've heard what I've heard. I've heard it's not a nasty place either. I've heard Founders is a fantastic place to play. Have you heard the same thing?
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, and even from the pictures and looking around, we haven't talked much about it. We kind of just we show up and play. It's a weird squad that we play with. We're kind of just the I wouldn't say the dummies, but we're kind of just we show up there and we're gonna go. Oh, it looks like we're here. Let's go play ball, and that's just kind of how the squad is. And so I haven't checked too much on Founders, but I've heard it's a really good park and a lot of
Yeah.
history to it, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you say you think you're 13-11 off the top. So I'm assuming that y'all don't talk about like standings, right? So, has there been any discussion? Hey, we're tied with the team that we're fixing to go face this weekend. Has that even been a discussion at all?
I mean, I'm sure it's in the back of people's minds, but the way I look at it is you're just trying to win every single game, and every single game matters. We got Florida next weekend, and that's not going to be an easy one. Every single game at Vanderbilt wasn't easy. You got to take care of just one game at a time. And so whether you're on the road or at home, you're just trying to crank out one win at a time. And then, at the end of the season, we don't really care what South Carolina does. We don't really care what Florida does either. It's just about winning as many as possible. And this league, it'll all work itself out. So,
So let's say that all does go right, and you get to go to Foley Field and y'all host a regional. Coming from Baylor, who went 20-35 in your time there, you make a choice to go to Georgia. That you go there under Wes's new, coaching staff, and then, talking about joining Charlie and the guys, but just, regardless of what happens after that, let's just say Georgia hosts a regional, just how solidifying is that decision? Hey, you know what, I made the right choice because clearly your stats show that you're thriving. Like I said, we want to bring that batting average up some, but the power numbers are there, your defensive numbers are there, and you're in a lineup that's just, thriving. Like, how vindicating will that be that, you picked the right destination?
it I can give the good answer, or I can give the honest one. So I'll give the honest one. I've made the right decision from the start. um, whether or not I was riding the bench, and then we also go 20-35 again. If I go to Georgia, so if I were to show up at Georgia and we, don't win ball games and I sit the bench, I would have tipped my cap and realized that I made the decision to go in the portal, and that's what happened. And whatever. And so I'm happy with any decision. I live with no regrets. And it was a decision I made, and I just have to live with it. And so seeing that kind of come to fulfillment is awesome to see. And we got 2 weekends left of regular season, so we're excited to keep moving. And I'm so excited to be here. I can't words can't describe it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I do want to highlight one part of the season. I was looking at your numbers and I broke down specifically. You went on a tear, and when you're talking about good teams, you want to tear starting in Alabama, but it carried over to Tennessee. You even had a 3-for-3 game in Tennessee, followed by a 3-for-5. you know, is that what you say? You know, I'm looking at this. I would say, Colby, that's when you really picked it up because you had some struggles before, you know, against Kentucky prior to that. Is that kind of where you found your footing there? Is against Alabama and Tennessee?
Yeah, I'd say I went through a little bit of rough patch. I mean, it was a tough time, and I was trying to get out of it, trying to think of anything that could happen, and the more you just got to let baseball do its thing, and so I had I think it was bottom of the ninth, and then bases loaded, tie ball game, and then I hit a walk off grand slam against Alabama, and so after that it kind of all started after that. I think so.
I mean, a
Um,
walk-off grand slam. It don't get better than that, Colby. I'm just, it don't matter who you're playing. That
well, it's
got to
funny
be.
is I don't know. Did you see that I got ejected on that from? I was coming home and I took off my helmet and threw it straight back and then
So
whatever.
Alex that had you on, our hot corner host that had you on, yeah, he went on a whole rant about it. I mean, it really, you know, we're not going to get deep in it, but the
Yeah,
way they take fun out of college, but you're in a sport that's trying to gain viewers, but yet you constantly keep taking the fun out of it. It's something they need to address. But like I said, we won't jump into that. But yeah, you should be able to, you know, it's not like, hey, it's not like you went through middle fingers at the middle fielder like Jordan Beck, right? Like, oh, come on.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I won't speak anything on it because the umpires. Honestly, I've talked to a lot of them. I agree with some of the things they say. They're like, man, we're trying to keep up just as much as y'all are, and there's a lot of new rules about it, the pitch clock, the all that. They're trying to learn it just as much as we are. So I got respect for them more I look at them, and so I mean, if I would have been flipping middle fingers and you know talking bad about their players, and I'd deserve it, but it's kind of
Well,
funny
I'll
the way
tell
it
you,
went
I said
down.
I was coming to the series this weekend. I'm actually coming with the umpire staff. I went with them a few times. I got a couple of buddies in there, and that's who I get invited by. And I'm gonna tell you, you know, don't want to discuss their names. I try not to put their business on the street, but the two guys that I'm talking about, they were former players, and not most of these umpires are not former players, Kobe, but I'll tell you, they are. And so with that, they have a very good understanding and have a leeway. One of them specifically talks about when he had that 2022 Tennessee team, and he would have talks with Gilbert and some of the other guys, and he would let a lot of stuff go that other guys didn't because he played in that moment, right? He would give warnings more than he would just act out because in this game, in any game, you're going to have, you know, emotions and big moments, and you hit a grand slam or whatever, things are going to happen. And that's why I mentioned the middle finger thing, because that's something that's uncalled for. But you know, all these, you know, I've seen guys getting ejected over bat flips now. Like, come on, man. Like, is this that's why I said this game's supposed to be fun. They took away on-field props. Virginia Tech had the sledgehammer thing. That thing that's fun. Like, don't take that stuff away. But I could I could go all day about that, but man, there's nothing wrong with what you did, and I appreciate you saying that you respect them and whatnot. But you know, obviously, big weekend upcoming. I'll be there, but let's transition into a game called this or that. Um, only rule is you can't say both. You can't say neither. You get two options. You choose one or the other. It's brought to you by Chinook Seedery, 8 Flavors Mind the Wild. Charlie is an ambassador. He is the ambassador of the week with his stat line. So I ask you, Colby, has he gave you some of the seeds? Is he sharing?
I haven't seen him share yet. He's been selfish
Oh,
with it. I need to ask him about it. I'll get some tomorrow. How about that?
if he doesn't
What
give you some, you make sure you message me. I'm gonna make sure I get them to you. But 8 Flavors Mind Wild. You tell me what it is that you might be into. You might be into something spicy, something sweet. You know, they got everything. They got the nasty dill pickle to cinnamon toast for the kids, or just original.
I
Um,
got you.
but it's funny. We have a lot of these guys. We've set up their ambassador deals, and then we talk to their teammates, and they ain't been sharing. So Charlie, I hope you're better than that. I expect better than that. But here we go, out the gate. Would you rather grill out in the backyard on the grill, or would you rather go out to eat?
Grill out.
What if you're throwing something on the grill right now? What are we doing?
Lately, I've been doing steaks. I learned how to do a steak differently than the way I've been cooking it. So, buddy Colton Smith, he's been shoving. I've been FaceTiming him trying to figure out the perfect way to make steak. And so
How do
he's
you
been
like your
teaching
steak?
medium rare. Basically what I've been doing is this is credit to him, but he basically you season it up and then you stick it in the oven for a little bit and then you take it out at I think it's like around 90 or 100, and then once you take it out of the oven and then you stick it on until about 130 on your grill. So that's probably a normal thing that people do, but I don't know. He told me that I
Yeah,
never heard of it.
I'm the abnormal guy. So my whole family is medium rare. Like you, I'm a medium guy. So I'm pulling off the whole family steaks and leaving mine on, hanging out, having an extra beer, watching mine while they're already eating type deal. And I'm always told, obviously being in the baseball world, I'm told by the guys in the left field lounge or, the hog pen from Bon Walker, all these guys who grill out a lot, they're telling me medium's just wrong. It's like chewing rubber, but I don't know. That's just the way I was raised. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you, Colby, steak is steak. And if you're eating steak, man, you're doing it right, period. Like you're getting that protein source, you're getting that good food. So hey, I like it. And especially you said grilling out. A lot of guys lately have been saying they like to go out to eat. Kind of find that lazy, man. They don't want to put in the work.
Yeah, I mean I go out to eat, but I like grilling a steak with Slate and John or whoever wants to grill with me.
Yeah, hey, I brought him up for a second. I'm gonna go off on a tangent for a second off the game. How much fun is Slade Alford having? Because, um, there was a lot of people, and he may not even listen to it, read it. Like I said, I'm in Mississippi. A lot of people gave a lot of grief about him leaving, but I've seen the highlights. I've watched him in person. Looks like Slade Alford's having an awful lot of fun. Looks like he's very happy with his decision.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's one of my good friends. He's a roommate of mine too, so we get to talk a lot, and so he's super happy to be at Georgia, and he knows he made the right decision.
Yeah, no doubt. So, next one, would you rather have a luxury car or a fast car?
Uh, Luxury car. I don't really care about going fast.
Well, that's why I got one that's both. But I feel you. I feel you. Um, would you rather, this is a big one. Would you rather trip and fall in public or pass gas in public?
Oh, that's funny. Uh, I probably trip and fall in public. I mean, if I pass gas, then it's got to be silent and it's got to be, you know. But
Here's
yeah,
what I
I'd
tell
probably trip.
people. I turned 40 this year. If I fall, I might not get up these days. Look, man, I'm a dad. I'm an old man. I'll rip it and just claim it. I don't want to fall. That's embarrassing. I ain't doing it. But next one. This is what I'm curious about. Haven't had but Charlie on. We've had a lot of guests from a lot of teams. Georgia, you're only the second guest. Um, do you like the red uniforms or you like the black uniforms?
Uh, Black.
I agree, and I
What did
like
Charlie say?
Charlie said the same thing, but you have traditionalists no matter what team, right? They don't like black in anything, and then you have the ones who like black. They're fun. They like the new thing. And I come from a team where LSU's never going to do black. Like you'll have anarchy, you'll have riots in the street if you were to try to introduce a black form. I love all the teams that do a black uniform. I love it as an alternate, especially you look at the colors, whether you're talking about Georgia with red or you're talking about Tennessee with orange or any other team, it pops, it looks good. And so, yeah, I like when y'all wear the black, it goes hard. I don't imagine black can be hot, but I don't imagine it's too much hotter. It's already hot anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
Now I know some teams or some guys, it's all about superstition, right? How do you play? And I bring that up because the Mississippi State team that wore the Sunday Blacks, I'm talking about the 2021 team that won the championship. They always won when they wore their blacks, so they were all about them. And I agree. Whatever color wins, suit it up.
Yeah, that's funny. One thing about this team is there's not really I mean, there's no superstitions. It's like, I mean, we just kind of go out there and play. I couldn't tell you the thought on like whether we wear, red, black, or white or gray. There's no really like jersey that we win or lose in. I haven't thought of, but maybe
Yeah.
it's me. Maybe everybody else talks about it, but I don't talk about it. But I haven't heard nothing about it.
Maybe. Well, whatever y'all are doing is working. Like I said, Georgia is playing fantastic ball. I'll tell you, I haven't brought them up this episode. I remember watching the Georgia and Kentucky series in its entirety. Um, I never thought that Kentucky would stay where they're at. I said something about, questioning Georgia if y'all be able to protect Connor. I did not think Kentucky was going to do this. And so looking back at that series and how good of a series it was between you two teams, and the fact that y'all are two of the top teams in the SEC, it's pretty cool. And it's new blood, right? Like, I've mentioned multiple times being an LSU fan. It's cool to see teams like Georgia and Kentucky who aren't the normal teams at the top, fighting and being up there, with Tennessee and with the Arkansas. And so I hope it keeps going because I think it's good for sports overall when it's not the same teams over and over again. But next question: have you seen Survivor and Big Brother, the reality shows?
You know, my name, the name Colby is based off Survivor, and back when like so long ago, my parents watched Survivor, and there was a guy named Colby, and he won the $1 million and gave it to this lady. I think that's the story, and gave it to the lady that won second. And so I'm
We
named
we
after
gotta
him.
guess we gotta guess Quintavious Burdett he was from Ole Miss a few years back. He's now a realtor. He's on the show currently, and then we had Matt Klotz, who's the LSU swimmer who was on Big Brother. So we asked this question. People, seems kind of a weird question, but being that we have athletes that are on these shows, would you rather play Survivor, which is basically obviously on the island, being stuck there playing with people, or Big Brother, which is where you're isolated in a house. Same thing as Survivor, but a house versus island. Would you rather do Survivor or would you rather do Big Brother?
Survivor for sure.
Yeah, I think if I play Big Brother, I'm just gonna keep it 100 in front of everybody on here. I'd punch somebody in the face because there's so much lying and deceit, and you're trapped in the house with them, and you can't get away. There's a certain point where you just have to like strangle someone. So yeah, I wouldn't be welcome in that game. But our guest Q, he's down to the final seven. If he wins $1 million, he lives down the street. Actually, he's my realtor now. That's what's funny about this whole thing. I'm gonna need a loan if he gets the million. But speaking of million, all right. Final question. We'll ask this question to every guest. If I give you a briefcase with $1 million cash, or I say, give me the million back, you can have a national championship this year. Which one are you taking?
Well, here's the deal. If we do get a national championship, you know, somebody's playing good enough so that, you know, and when the draft comes or something, then I might just get that $1 million. So I'm going to take a national championship, and then work my tail off to get drafted and hopefully get $1 million in the draft one day. That's a
There you
goal.
go. Yeah, I don't argue it anymore. Paul Skeens came on here post draft and said he'd give his 10 million back and his number one pick and keep his national championship. And so after my boy Paul says that, who am I to argue that? But so many
I
guests
mean,
came.
a national championship would be, you know, unbelievable. At Baylor, it wasn't really we didn't even make the postseason. So like coming here, it's like, we're 6 games out. We're trying to host a regional, and then if we do that, we play good at home, and if we don't, then we'll go have to win on the road and go play there, and so we're thinking about it, and we're eager to do it, and we're always talking about belief in ourselves, and I think with this team we just keep surprising ourselves. We just every weekend we just keep surprising ourselves, and if you do that enough, then you got a bunch of people that believe in themselves and believe in other people, and it can take you a longer way than you think.
I think my favorite part would be the anarchy that would come. Arkansas and Tennessee's fan bases are dying for a championship. Arkansas longer than Tennessee, but been so close multiple times. If Georgia just comes in there and wins a championship before both of them, oh man, I can only imagine. I'm here for it. Sign me up for the Georgia Championship and for Knoxville and for Fayetteville to lose their mind. I'm in. Sign me up. But anyway, you're off the hot seat. Before you go, is there anything you want to plug or promote? Do you have any nonprofits, NIL, anything you want to put out there that maybe somebody can check out? If not, social media, where to find you?
No, I'm all good. All good.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, if you want to check them out, I'll tell you this. It's very simple. Georgia baseball. They make it easy. They got the hype videos. They got the schedule out there. You can find out what they got going on. You might see a Kolby Branch home run highlight video this weekend. So check it out. Go follow them. But, wish you nothing but the best of luck this weekend. I look forward to seeing you out there and even post that, man. Stay free of injury and hey, y'all keep doing your thing.
Man, I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. That's Kolby Branch, everybody. If you like hearing his story or you just like hearing average Joes talk X's and O's, please and like and share the podcast on Facebook. Retweet us on Twitter. Listen and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, hugs, loves, feedback, all that good stuff is welcome. Next week, we'll be back. We'll have Daniel back. We got a loaded schedule, but we're going to start with gymnastics. We're going to have Jamison Sears from the University of Alabama. But remember, in the meantime, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.